right, ladies and gents, look at this car capsule. You see what's inside of this? This is a fully restored Mustang GT. We're going to get into the story. We're going to talk to the owner of this vehicle. Man, this thing is a beauty. I seen it about a year ago at Chocolate Fox. Up on the lift, up on the stands. Shout out to Blue Sky Performance. They put this thing together. And yeah, we're going to get into it in just a bit, guys. Stay tuned. Ladies and gents, I'm here with Jeff Johnson, the owner of this Ford Mustang. Jeff, welcome to the channel. Thanks for having me over here, man, to check out this beauty.
Thanks for coming. You came a long way to see this.
Came a long way to see this baby, but it was well worth it. Tell us a little bit about the car. What exactly are we looking at, Jeff?
This is my 1989 Mustang GT. I bought it brand new in 1989 when I was 22 years old, and for better or worse, I kept it. It was my daily driver for a very long time. I put about 134,000 miles on it, just daily driving it, snow, ice, winter, any kind of conditions. And then it went into hiding, into storage, waiting for someday. And starting about 5 years ago, someday came. And I started the process of having it restored.
So you had this car since new? Yes, sir. What inspired you to steer to the Fox body platform?
Well, my parents, my dad bought a 1965 Mustang new, and it was the car I came home from in the hospital, so it was a car I knew my entire life. So I was always a Mustang guy. And he had that car until about 1975 when he sold it. And I'll never forget being disappointed when I was about 8 years old, 7 years old, that he got rid of it. And that kind of stuck with me. So when I got my first car, it wasn't new, but I bought it when I was 19, right out of high school. I bought a 1984 four-cylinder, four-speed coupe, just to learn how to drive stick-on. And I had that for a couple of years, from 86 to 89, and when I traded that in on this car you see right here.
One owner vehicle, you had it since new. Before we get into the rebuild process, how long did the car sit before you went into restore mode?
Well, it sat in my old house for a couple years. I drove it sparingly, but there was issues with it. It would, the radiator was leaking, and just different excuse me, problems cropping up. But when I moved to this house in 2006, I drove it here, parked it in the garage, and that's where it sat until 2019. So easily 13 years of just sitting in the garage doing nothing.
Okay, Jeff, how did the journey of cars start for you?
Oh, geez, I never was like a real super car guy. It just, aside from loving Mustangs. So when it was time to get the car, I had to have, brand new, I had to have a GT, man. It was the hottest thing back then. You had to have a hatchback, Nobody knew about coupes back then. Now they're the big thing.
Yeah, the notchbacks.
Yep. Anybody will tell you that knew about Mustangs back then. It was the hatch, the GT hatch. That was the top of the line.
Okay, Jeff. So you said that car sat for a couple years, about 4 or 5 years or so. Was it always in the plans to restore this vehicle back to brand new for you?
That's a good question. It didn't really, not to this point, no. But when you start the process, you say, okay, let's do the bare minimum, okay, for lack of a better term. And then when you start getting into it, you realize the bare minimum is not going to happen. So realistically speaking, this was not the best car to start with as a project car.
Really?
If somebody bought this from me, I would say do not do what I did to it. 100% sentimental value. I admit that.
Yeah.
So that's what it turned into. And I realized that quickly. You know, you can't. It's like doing anything else. If you're going to remodel your kitchen, suddenly while you're at it, we're pulling this out. Let's do this. Let's get it done right. And I knew that in the back of my head that it was going to be that way.
So you went full speed ahead, would you say?
It took me a little while to get there. A lot of trips to Blue Sky to pick their brains over there, gather my information, get my mind set on if I really wanted to do it, and then pull the trigger.
So I'm not going to ask about numbers, but were you over or under your budget?
Well, over. Okay, and that's not something that anybody should be surprised about. Anybody that's undertaken anything, again, a kitchen remodel, a bathroom, heck, if you go to Best Buy to get a TV, you have a budget in mind, and by the time you get there, you're like, oh, for just a couple extra bucks, you know, I can get a better feature, I can do this or that. So, okay, it's over budget, but did I spend so much more that it was like that it would have killed the deal? No. I mean, I knew I was already in for a certain amount, so it went over, and that's fine. And it wasn't like it was a surprise. You know, somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew this was going to turn into what it did, and I'm happy with the result.
And who did the work?
It's Blue Sky Performance and Restoration. They're a shop about 20 minutes from here in Andover, New Jersey.
Okay, so people that's watching this video, they may be looking to, you know, restore either their Mustang or any other vehicles. What went on with the decision that you made to, you know, go to Blue Sky? Because I'm sure it's a lot of different companies that you probably could have went with.
Yeah, that happened to be a place I would drive by a lot, and it wasn't always the form it is in now. It was a restoration shop through the years, or a garage, or maybe a wrecking yard. There was always something automotive surrounding the place. And I got off the highway one day. There was always Corvettes. Seemed like Corvettes were there. I think I went there maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they didn't really want to deal with this car. It was just a used car back then. It wasn't, you know, what it is now, where it's, hey, these are worth fixing up. And then one day, maybe 2018, I saw a couple of Fox bodies outside. And I said, oh, okay, well, that's encouraging. So it wasn't maybe that day, but after that, I wasn't even thinking about it, but I knew I'd be passing the shop, getting off on the highway. I said, let me stop in. I started speaking with Jeff over there, and they're great guys. And that, yeah, I could have shopped around. I could have gone to different shops. They're all going to be, there's going to be a cost associated with that. But these guys struck me young, ambitious, and knew their stuff. And they're passionate about what they do, and that passion kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. So again, it took me a while, different trips, to really get my mind wrapped around it and see what I wanted to do. I would have just said, make the thing stock again. But 5 minutes after driving it, after just making it stock again, why didn't I do this while we had the motor out and this? So that was where Jeff, and then Jesse, a little later on in the process, he started putting in his input, and then I started to see the vision of where they wanted to go with it.
Awesome. So it was almost like a collaboration. Like, you know, you not only gave your input, but, you know, you took some of their input as well.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and I relied on them to. What are the kids doing these days with these cars? You know, what's cool, for lack of a better term.
Start to finish, how long did it take?
From the time I said go, which wasn't the first day I walked in there, or that they picked up the car, it was about a year and a half. Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's
not bad at all.
You know, especially around here, you're talking about a season or two of winter where you're not driving anyway. So
yeah.
I mean, maybe if you timed it just right, they could do a little earlier, or it could be up to 2 years. I don't know. That's up to them. They've got their schedule, and they had told me they were 10 months out from when I said go. Or, you know, once I said go, it didn't get started right away.
Got it.
Okay, so
Got it.
there's, you know, I didn't just jump to the top of the line
Right,
just because my
right.
car was there already for a year or whatever it was, you know.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right, let's do a little walk around, and you can point out some stuff that's interesting that people can know about this vehicle.
This is a 351 Windsor block, bored and stroked to 408 cubic inches.
Nothing was spared in this build. I don't think I seen. Did I see the motor? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I know it was a while back.
Mm-hmm.
QA1s.
QA1 coilover suspension. We've got a trick flow intake, trick flow fuel injection, vintage air front runner accessory kit. It's a Holley Terminator X computer. We've got 03 Cobra brakes, hydraulic clutch, Wizard aluminum radiator with electric fans, electric power steering. That intake, the cold air intake for the Fox Body guys out there, that's a plastic tube as stock with like a corrugation on it. So we bead rolled it to kind of give it that stock look.
Nice.
Okay. This upper radiator support is smoothed out and got a little bead to it here. Custom cover-ups here for the headlight area, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. We left the frame rails, which were the biggest disaster on the car. Shock tower here and the frame rails were rotted out, yeah. So that's new. But they left them more like a stock look rather than a smoothed out panel. Mm-hmm. Okay, which I guess are big right now. And that's one of the things I like about the car. It still has that stock look, stock-ish, or maybe something they would have done back in the day for a production car they could just do whatever they wanted. But what else we got? Oh, the battery. We got terminals here. The battery is tucked up under the fender here.
Oh wow!
In case you need to jump
hidden battery.
We got
but you got the terminals right here.
Yep. In case it needs a jump or
Sweet.
just to tend the battery over the winter. The engine's just a straight 408. I mean, I couldn't tell you about the internals. I don't think there's anything remarkably special about them, but it was a built motor. It could handle a power adder, so it's stout in that regard. But you know, there's no different components to give it a little oomph. But it's a stout little motor.
It sounds like it.
Let's see. Well, we got the Cervini's Stalker front bumper, which I think adds a little aggressive look to it over the stock. We've got 03 Cobra heat extractor hood, which has got some nice definition to it, or some visual interest with these cutouts. The wheels are Maker's Garage Reimagined Classics, they're called. They're a takeoff of the stock 93 Cobra wheel, but with a little more concave, and there's no lip on them, and they're also 18 inches versus I believe the stock ones were 17 inches, so it affords a wider tire. Cobra rear bumper cover and the Cobra wing, which I was always a fan of. I was not big on the rear valance coming all the way down, and you have to turn the exhaust straight down. You know, this way you can see the pipes coming out the back like a hot rod should. Cobra tail lights, painted tint and painted on pinstripes, so it's not a kit. That's actual paint, a paint treatment on the tail lights. Excuse me. I got my owner one license plate. The state of New Jersey was nice enough to have that available for me.
Sweet.
So it's I like that touch, you know, for my own personal benefit. TMI door panels to match the Mach 1 seats. Those are like a 70 Mach 1 style seat with the red stripe. We wanted to keep the interior the same color, which was the gray, and bring the red in from the outside of the car. These are custom 6.7 liter badges from Evode Industries. I didn't know what to put there. as far as the accent 5.0. It doesn't have a 5.0 in it anymore. 408 equals 6.7 liters. So I decided to go with that. You know, if got to call out what's in there. You know, and I liked it. Needed something there. Just blank is a nice look, but it needed to have the somewhat original looking badge. Well, that's a Momo steering wheel, and we put the Ford button, the horn button, back to just kind of make it look more like stock. The interior was not something that was never on my radar. I was always just going to leave it stock and clean it up, but back to 134,000 miles of daily driving,
yeah, it
was tired.
What seats did it have? And it was the cloth seat?
It was like a cloth tweed seat.
Okay,
yeah. And these are the original seats, just reupholstered.
Oh, nice.
So the Corbos and the any other style, they're kind of narrow on me. You know, I'm a little bit of a wider guy, so I never felt like I could fit in them. So,
right. So, you want that comfort for sure.
Correct. Yep. And it didn't have any gangster lean. That's a big thing for you guys.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll break tomorrow. I don't know. But the carpet's new, headliner's new, all the interior pieces. There were a couple broken ones, so they're new. All the interior pieces were re-dyed, so they've had hands on them to make them new looking again.
Cool.
This is a Fox Locks accessory that I bought for it. It's a harness, plug and play harness that allows you to pop your hatch and lock and unlock the doors.
Sweet.
Which keeps me, there's no keyhole for the hatch anymore. Yeah. It's a rear view camera, so I need something else.
That's a nice
touch. I love the rear view camera. It's hard to live without, you know.
Yeah.
After having it for so many years now. Yeah, this is the original sunshade in the back, so it's a little temperamental, but you can't really find these anymore. So I cleaned it up the best I could. They got the sunroof cover, new carpeting in the back. Like I said, there were some cracked pieces. This was cracked, so we replaced it. So it's essentially a brand new car. Maybe the sun visors haven't been touched, but maybe they were vacuumed off.
You touched everything in this car, top to bottom.
Everything has been touched.
Wow. What about the frame? Was the frame touched?
The frame, it just has subframe connectors, but it was on a rotisserie, so sandblasted, primed.
Okay.
You know, and like I said, it's got subframe connectors, but otherwise, and the front frame rails. Okay, there was some. Well, the front quarters had to be changed anyway because to get the wider tire in there, they changed it, I think, in 91, 92 to make the wheel well big enough for the tire. The rear quarters were changed because this was rusted. Not super bad, but by the time the labor got put into fixing that, why don't we just get new quarters?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, this garage is detached. No climate control. So in the winter time, it gets really cold. And then you'll have a warm day and the walls will sweat. Anything in here will get condensation on it. So the car is sitting here for whatever amounts, 13 years. It got moldy on the inside. And it was going to break my heart to put that car back in this environment. So I hemmed and hawed and long story short, found this online and called the company. And it's basically a climate control capsule. There's a computer fan in the front that blows. It circulates the air, and the air escapes through these zippers, the fabric in the zippers, changes the air 5 or 6 times an hour, and I go to sleep at night. No matter how much water is dripping down these walls in January, if the roof leaks a little bit, and if it's humid in here, the car is protected. Doesn't matter the temperature. I have a dehumidifier, but that stops working at a certain temperature when it's really cold in the winter. So this is a great insurance policy, so I'm really happy I bought it.
All right, Jeff, enough talk about this car, man. I want to hear how this baby sounds and feels on a roll. You ready to take it out?
Yes, I am. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
I'm Jesse with Blue Sky Performance and Restoration in Andover, New Jersey. This is Roscoe. He's gonna follow me around. It's my boy. We're big dog people here, so we have anywhere between 1 and 4 dogs here at any given moment. So I want to give you a tour of the shop. This is the paint side over here, sitting in front of our AccuDraft paint booth is the War Admiral. If you're up on the Fox Body community, anything like that, you obviously know the War Admiral. And we're actually doing some paint work to it. There was a couple rock chips. If you listen to the latest, as of today, the latest episode of the 5-0 Asylum, Tom talked about the adventure of going for the Muscle Machine of the Year award for good guys, and we had issues with the hood. There was a rock chip and we painted it, so we're actually redoing it again to get it back to how it should be. Like I said, this is our paint booth. We do all the paint prepping in this area here, pre and post painting. We do our cut and buff under this, lots of lighting, kind of flood this area of lighting. Yes, we have the trendy hexagon lights, but they do spread a ton of lightage over here. Over in this corner, we have a shipping and receiving department, so all of our shipments come in here. That way we can check in parts, all that fun stuff, but that's just boring shop stuff. Let's get to the fun stuff. This is our metal fab area. This is where we do all of our metal fabrication, rust repair. So yeah, we have a 1990 Mustang here. Came to us, it had a shaved bay, and before he was about to put the Coyote, the Whipple blown Coyote, they found some bubbling under the paint. We started digging into it and found rust and kinked rails from a poor previous repair, from a collision repair, and had the wrong radiator support. So unfortunately we had to go down the rabbit hole of bringing it back to factory specs. We jigged it up, we had everything measured, so this car is back to where it needs to be. 70 Nova that we're working on, Pro Touring car, 67 Chevelle over here that is getting the full fit and finish treatment. We replaced 95% of the metal on this car. The only thing that's original to the car is the floor pan and the inner roof structure. Everything else is all brand new steel. You can see, sorry it's a little cluttered over here, but we go and we gap everything with 3/16 inch. Nice tight gaps. It really makes a difference to go through and make these cars better than they used to be. 3/16 inch all through here. This is a very difficult area on these A bodies, 64 through 7 A bodies. This is a weird intersection, and we went ahead and what we call knife edged everything, making it all nice and crisp. We passed the 67 Camaro that's getting a full Pro Touring treatment, 440 stroker by Wagner Automotive. Made 677 to the crank, so that thing's gonna be a ton of fun on the street. 68 or 9 GTO. It's on a roadster shop spec chassis, LT1 with an LT4 blower. We recently had the bottom end rebuilt, so this thing's gonna make a lot of steam. We put it on the roadster shop chassis. We're not painting it, so it still has its character of being a pretty original looking car, but it's gonna perform like hell. Hell as being a good thing. Little 66-7 Nova Chevy 2 post car. Was built by another shop at some point, was being built and installed, came to us for final assembly and final, making everything work and function and all that. It's a full tubular chassis car. It's gonna handle really, really well. Weird unknown LS. It's got to make big power. Really nice components on this build. A little bit different than our typical style of making something look factory and keeping it looking OEM-ish, but it's going to have a great look. Tom's 70 Chevelle SS. Well, it's originally a Malibu. It's not an SS car, but his father used to drag race it at Englishtown, and now we're taking it and making it a driver's car. Again, another roadster shop spec chassis. It's got a Blueprint LS 376 engine in it. and we outfitted it with all the Locar LS Classic stuff to make it look like a big block. We wanted it to appear very stock. It's going to have a 14-inch air cleaner on here. Everything is going to be very factory looking. It's got the set of forge lines on it. 18s in the front, 19s in the back. It kind of resembles the original 71, 72 Chevelle SS wheel on it. Again, just wanting to keep it look kind of factory and not too radical and over the top pro touring. We have a, oh, and also this is the mechanical side of the shop. That side's all the body and fab. So we have different departments for each process throughout building cars. 63 4 Lincoln Continental came in, had an LS swap, and it was a pretty janky install. So we went in and made some nice, rewired it and made some nice improvements on it so that it's a little bit, more turnkey. Over here we have a 65 or 6. I can't keep up with all the years of these cars, but 65 or 66 coupe. It's got a 505 big block Ford in it. Makes like 700 horsepower. It's going to be a total monster on the street. 66 Tempest. We kind of went with the grandma theme. It's a post car, it's a Tempest. We didn't try to make it a GTO. Yes, it has a GTO hood on it. Cliff, the owner, just had to have it. He's had this car for 30 some odd years. It's got Forge Line OE1s wheels that accepts the factory hubcap. However, it's a 19 by 11 with a 325 tire, so it has that kind of grocery getter look, but has the performance of a 3-piece Forge Line wheel. This is a Blueprint 408 stroker LS3. We again made it look kind of old and painted it Pontiac blue. Had the Pontiac valve covers to keep it looking pretty mundane and Pontiac-ish, but it makes something. I think this thing made 620 at the crank, so another car that's going to be a lot of fun. It's got a Bowler TKX 5-speed in it with the hydraulic clutch and everything, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And then in this room right here is our chassis dyno. We have a Dynacom 6000 series chassis dyno. Little Fox body here that we just did Holley Terminator on. That seems to be, a lot of guys are going to Holley Terminator because the OEM ECUs are just, it's 35-year-old, 40-year-old EFI technology, so we're doing a lot of Holleys on Fox bodies these days, and they're going up in value, as I'm sure a lot of you know. Through here, back here is our dedicated bodywork room, utility room for tools and shop tools and everything, but this is an area that we have back here to close off the dry sanding, the dust, trying to keep it, secluded into one area. So we have James 70 Mustang. He's had this car a long, long time, and we're picking away at it, getting it painted. It's going to have a 70 Boss 302-ish type of paint job on it. Gonna be a cool car. Coyote with a 6-speed automatic. Just driving through, get in it, turn the key, go, enjoy it. Then we have Brad's 72 Fiat 850 Spider, or 850 Sport, I forget what they call it. This is interesting. We unearthed this when we stripped the paint off of it. However, it's really not that big of a deal because we are actually putting this car on a one-off Roadster Shop chassis that's going to be Subaru powered with a 5-speed Subaru transmission. It's pretty wild. So all this is going to get redone. We're actually extending the wheelbase forward 9 inches. So a lot of custom sheet metal work is going to go into this thing. We're just in the beginning stages. The next step will actually have Reversion, Tyler with Reversion Raceworks, 3D scan the underside of the car inside out, 3D scan the drivetrain, and then we take that information and ship it over to the Roadster Shop, and they will engineer us a chassis that will go up, we'll cut out all the substructure of this car and weld in their chassis and then make everything one. That way the car is going to handle really well with that additional Subaru power, and we'll actually have performance parts to put into this car, since there's not really much, you know, other than factory replacement stuff for this little car. Neat little out-of-the-box build, and that wraps up the main shop. We are back in the shipping and receiving area. So as you can see, cars go from body work and then they can go right into the paint booth. So we kind of have an ebb and flow in the shop, try to make everything kind of smooth. So that's the main shop. Upstairs we have over 2,000 square feet of parts storage for all the different customers' projects, with a labeling system so that we can keep track of 20, 30 projects at once and know where each customer's parts are, so that we're not losing anything. So if you want to come up, we can go up to the front. Roscoe will lead the way. Come on, let's go. Let's go. This way. We're going this way. So like I had mentioned, they're all labeled with numbers. Each car gets a job number, and the last digit in the job number kind of tells us where to go. So anything ending in 7 is in this area, 8 this area, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth up in here. And then this is our front end area to store cars that are pre-production, in production, awaiting the next steps. Kind of gets them up and out of the dirtiness of the shop, because everybody knows grinding, all that makes 75 MGB. We are finishing up. It's 99.9% there. Pretty neat build. If you follow us, you've seen it before, but it's a 75 MGB, and it has a lot of hot rodding injected into it. It has a 331 stroker, makes 435 to the tire. This thing's gonna be a real riot to drive. I'm too big for it. I'm 6'4", so I don't have any interest in driving this thing. I drove it down the street once. I'm like, that's good. I'm too big. It's more of a go-kart for me. Another 65 Le Mans that we did, one owner car since 1968, 78 Porsche Targa. That was exported from Germany back when the owner came back from being stationed over there. 68 Firebird, or Suburban, and then this car just came in from Texas. It's a 68 Camaro, has a 6-liter LS in it with twin turbos. It makes north of 800 to the tire. It has a full bolt-on suspension. However, we're going to be replacing it with a Roadster Shop spec chassis. He wants something. The car is kind of tinny and kind of rattly, kind of stiff, and the Roadster Shop spec chassis is it's a really, really nice unit for these unibody or half subframe first gen and second gen Camaros and Firebirds. So this is going to be a fun project, and we're not taking any horsepower away from it, but we're going to make it a much nicer car to drive. And that pretty much shows the whole kit and caboodle here at Blue Sky Performance. This is a work. The building itself is a work in progress. We're always, trying to make it look better and improve it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. We're located in Andover, New Jersey. We generally are a pro touring shop. We try not to do any paint repairs, but we do everything in-house except for upholstery work and building engines, and transmissions. But otherwise, we do everything. You can find us on social media, Blue Sky Performance. Blue Sky Performance Jesse is my Instagram. Blue Sky Performance Jeff is my partner. He's actually on vacation right now, and we are on Facebook. We do have a very, very small YouTube channel that we're slowly trying to build up. We are a full-time hot rod shop, and I try to get some YouTube videos out there. So maybe after this one, it'll actually kick me in the butt to do it. So I don't know, but yeah, we have a lot of fun here. We have some really great customers, and we're living out our dream.
All right, Jesse, so you were hands-on with this vehicle.
Oh yeah.
Quick walk through on, what it took to get the vehicle to where it is right now. As quick as you can. You don't have to get into all the details.
You're talking to the guy who likes
look, Jeff, we got Jeff on here earlier.
Yeah.
But, we want to hear from the guy who actually had the hands-on as well.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's not just me, it's my whole crew. We have a gang of dudes that love what they do and really pour their heart and souls into these cars, but cars don't go without an owner, and the story is what really drives us about a build. The fact that this is a one-owner car is very special to us, and the fact that it was never really modified all that much, just driven, helped us a lot. It kept the soul of the car kind of together. All it had was an off-road H-pipe and some Flowmasters, which is super typical of, back in the day cars. But he came to us and he was patient. The best thing a customer can do is not want to rush into a build. It was right before COVID. We brought the car in and COVID hit and Jeff put the brakes on. We were very unsure with how things were going to go, and he finally pulled the trigger and went ahead, and we assessed the car. We got a rendering done. I think that helps drive a build really well. Getting a rendering for the car answers a lot of questions before the build even starts. So we try to do a lot of pre-planning. Yes, the car was rusty. We put quarters on it. We rebuilt everything from the firewall forward. Had rusty shock towers, rusty frame rails. There was a few spots around the floor pan that were rusty, typical of an East Coast car. But the bones of the car were great. It was never hit. Again, it was all there. And the theme, Jeff he's not into the big customs. Some cars you look at and they drive by and that's blatantly custom. For Jeff and us, we're not that kind of shop where, we want things to kind of blend in, kind of customize it so well that it doesn't look custom at all. So that was the theme, and we kind of stuck with it, doing the Maker's Garage wheels. It has kind of that OEM vibe, keeping it two-tone red and silver, except we did a Mercedes silver, which has a little bit more sparkle in it, and we painted gloss clear over it instead of a matte clear. So just picking at the OEM stuff that keeps, the fit and finish of an 80s car. Try to improve on that. So doing the frameless, the no molding, the flush mounted glass, doing that to the front windshield and the back window. It kind of makes people scratch their heads, say something's missing, but it doesn't look missing. So we do that stuff. And then just parts selection, tried and true, 93 Cobra rear spoiler and rear bumper. You just can't go wrong with that. Same thing with the interior. We didn't want to go with crazy race seats and harnesses with holes in the back of the seats. We wanted something that looked pretty much OEM, so we went to TMI, and they gave us their Mach 1 style seats in gray. That was the sticking with the theme throughout the build really helps the customer know what they're getting, and helps us relay that information to our guys. And can't say enough about Jeff. He's been a great customer. It's a real treat to build these cars for great people, and who kind of let us do our thing. Yeah, and the same thing goes for the under the hood. Doing the flat clear under the hood. These cars never looked great under the hood, but we wanted to shave it, but we didn't want it to look too custom. So it's the factory red with a matte clear over it. We did shave the bay, got rid of a lot of stuff, and just tightened everything up. Still has air conditioning, still has power steering. However, it's electric power steering, but we wanted the radiator to look factory, so we painted it black and, put little tags on here, radiator coolant only, steering fluid only, to try to just have it match. Let me fix that for Jeff. And just a pet peeve of mine. And Yeah, the black intake, even though it's a fabricated aluminum intake tube, it's, you know, we bead rolled it to make it look like it has that little flex coupler, just little things like that to make the car look a little bit more OEM when you pop the hood. So, fun car, really neat car, kind of brings me back to my high school days. They were never this nice, but it's a real treat for us to do this to a car for a great customer.
Any real challenges with this build?
Geez, no, this one actually was pretty smooth sailing.
Okay.
You know, having a car that was never wrecked, never really modified to the point where somebody had their hands in it. I'll always say I'd rather fix nature's damage than someone else's butchery.
Yeah.
You know, that makes it a lot easier.
Now he said it took about maybe about a year and a half. Would you say that's typically standard when people bring, you know, the vehicles to you and, you know, it's in a okay state?
Yeah, I mean, budget is a big thing. You know, we know that not everybody has the money up front to do a project like this. It's not a cheap process for sure. What we do is very, you know, time intensive. We could get a car done if we wanted to in a year. However, rushing the process never helps. You know, the paint process shouldn't be rushed because I can get all nerdy on paint, but you actually want to, between like coats of primer, you actually want the car to sit to let the paint kind of cure and gas out. And so, and we have other customers, so it's kind of good to get to a point, stop, and then pick up on it. Sometimes our techs can get burnt out with a single project, so we like to switch it up. But yeah, I mean, anywhere between a year and 2 years is pretty typical, depending on how crazy we go. Here we have Tony's 83 Mustang GLX factory T-top car, notchback. This car is very, very special. It's very rare. It's neat that it's a T-top car. From what I've seen, it's original paint. It's not rusty. The shock towers are beautiful. The floor pans are beautiful. It has the typical cracks in the seat mounts. But this car is going to be very, very cool. Again, Tony has been very patient. We've been in contact for a couple years now, kind of planning the project, and we're going to have a pretty interesting build on this one. There's a company that we deal pretty closely with, chassis-wise, that's going to be announcing something pretty awesome at SEMA. Don't want to say much more than that, but it's going to really revolutionize these cars, and we're going to be utilizing that technology and product into this car. We're going to keep it white. It's going to stay red interior, but it's going to be big modern power, mini tubbed. Again, it's going to stay original looking. We're going to keep the chrome on the mirrors, you know, keep the stuff that everybody changed out back in the day, because we want to keep this thing a GLX, you know, oversized OEM style wheels. You know, we want people to walk up on this car and see it and say, you know, oh, what about that car is different? And so I'm excited about it. Tony's going to be a really good dude to work with, and we're excited to get going on this. Probably mid 2025 next year we'll be getting into it. Again, we don't want to rush into projects. It doesn't help anybody. You're better off spending a lot of time pre-planning a project than just jumping into something just to get that, you know, new sparkly thing going. So looking forward to this one.
All right, and a strange turn of events. Okay, go ahead.
Is it recording?
Yep.
All right.
A strange turn of events. Jeff has put me behind the wheel of his masterpiece. Wow. I'm a little shorter than you, so I'm gonna have
I don't know. I'm pretty short myself. There should be it's under the seat.
Okay.
In front of the seat there.
Yeah.
Maybe your left hand be easier to hit it. It's way down under here. There we go.
Yep, I got it.
Did you click it?
Yep.
All right.
This is a machine. This is a machine. This is why people wanted Mustangs back in the day. This is my first time driving a Mustang.
Is it?
Yeah. Drives beautiful though.
Told you, it's sensitive to input, operator input.
Oh, I
right?
see.
You
I
feel
see.
that?
I see. Now I'm noticing how the pedals are super close to each other.
You can
in the Mustang.
You can rev it up real easy at a stoplight when you put on the brake.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Jeff, it's been a pleasure taking out this beauty on the road with you, man, and inviting me up here.
Been a pleasure to have you here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, be sure to check him out on Instagram. What's your Instagram?
That's owner1.twotone.
And also, you shared your story on what platform?
50 Asylum.
Be sure
on Spotify, their podcast.
Be sure to check those two out. And also check out, man, the whole rebuild process. He goes into, if you go to his Instagram, you can see photos of the earliest of when he originally bought this car in '89. So again, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe to this video. I'll see y'all on the next one. This is Car Showrell signing out. So always stay positive, stay motivated. Salute. Alright guys, on the detour back to Maryland, I stopped in Philadelphia to get Angelo's. It was a 45, well probably about a 35-minute wait, and it wasn't even a long line outside. So imagine when it's jam-packed and they just ran out of bread. It's about, what time is it? 5:22. So I was like one of the last few people to get cheesesteaks. So let's check this pizza out. Nice. Let me dig in. This pizza, y'all, it's pretty good pizza. Pretty good. Not bad at all. And I'm starving. Now I heard they make their own bread as well. Wow, this looks incredible. Smells so good. I'll be back with a verdict. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Definitely one of the best Phillies I had. Definitely. Wow. Wow. Damn. This thing's good, y'all.